Okay, let's continue further. So next we are gonna do some role and user management. So we can create different roles for different personas and give them selected access privileges on the data. So let's say I'm an account admin. I'm gonna create a new role called junior DBA, which already exists. So because I ran this beforehand, I'm gonna do a create or replace so that I can replace the role. Now it creates this junior DBA role, and then I'm gonna grant this role to my user as Tandure. I can make use of this role, and when I try to make use of this warehouse, it gives me an error that object does not exist. Why does that happen? We made use of this compute underscore WH just some time ago, right? The reason is we have not granted permissions of using compute underscore WH to this particular role which we just created. So in Snowflake, by default, only the owner role gets permissions to the objects. The role which created these objects have the permissions. Nobody else has permissions to use those or operate on those. So it works on the minimum privileges concept. Now, if I want to give privileges to this role, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna assume the role of account admin, and then I'm granting permissions on this warehouse to this particular role, right? Similarly, if I wanted to revoke the usage permission, I can run a revoke statement. Yeah. So we grant this permission, then make use of this role. Now when I try to use this warehouse, I'm allowed to do that because I have been granted privileges to do that. Same way, you'll notice that I cannot see the data on the left hand side, right? I cannot see the CyberSyn database anymore because I do not have permissions on that database as well. So again, same concept. You grant usage permissions on that database, and you also grant imported privileges on that database to the role. And then I'm gonna make use of that role. Let's refresh it. Now I can see both the databases. However, I don't see the tables inside that because I have not been granted permissions on the schema and the underlying tables for this particular database, right? So the access permissions are very strict and very granular, and only if the owner or use a role like security admin grants permissions, only then the roles can actually get access to it. So the data governance is very tightly managed in Snowflake. All right, so that was the overall lab. Let's just do a recap of it. We started the lab by walking through the user interface. We went through the UI, looked at the databases, the marketplace, the warehouses, and so on. We then started to load the data. We got structured data. We loaded semi-structured data, JSON data in variant columns as it is. Then we got some data from the marketplace very quickly and easily. We tested some capabilities like result cache, zero copy clone, time travel, joining the tables, and so on. And in the last session, we explored the roles and privileges. There is one last thing here which we are going to explore further, which is sharing data securely via Snowflake Marketplace. So we'll come to that in the next class.